YouTube. Today I want to do a video about what's going to happen once things collapse, to do with racism and sexism. And I know it's a touchy subject, but I think it's reality. All you have to do is travel to the third world, and you'll see that their attitudes towards that are a lot different than ours in the Western world. And I believe that's how it will be once things collapse. That we'll revert back to that. You know, you can see that in wars like the war that's going on in Syria, people break apart along racial and religious lines. It just seems like it's human nature. And if you look in the past, into history, you can see that that's the way it was. I mean, we had slavery, tribal warfare, ethnic conflict. It's sad, but it's something that you want to be prepared for. Something that everybody needs to be concerned with. Maybe having to do with where you live. You might not want to live in a foreign country because you can see that their attitudes are a lot different. They're a lot more racially conscious. They're not as accepting of other cultures and races. And it's going to become even more pronounced as things begin to get worse and worse. Also, I don't think that women will have the same type of rights that they have now. If you look at most third world countries, women don't enjoy the same type of freedom that they do in the West. Especially look at Muslim countries, a lot of the Latin countries. In places like Honduras, Guatemala, women don't have very many rights. Not maybe on paper, but not in reality. They're very controlled. They're not very independent. There's no social programs. You don't see too many single mothers. You do, but I mean, they need some sort of help from their family or from having a boyfriend or a husband. It's something that you need to think about, because as much as we might not enjoy those sort of things that will happen, it's more than likely that it will, and I think slavery will come back as well. Right now, it's not economically viable to have slaves, because a barrel of petroleum is much cheaper to use in order to get man hours out of it. But as there becomes less and less petroleum, and as the economy collapses, it will become economically viable to have slaves again. And I think that's the only thing that's stopping people from doing it. It seems like it's been a common practice throughout human nature, throughout human history, and all you have to do is just look at the medieval times. There was indentured servitude. There was a big king in his castle or in a city with his court and the people serving him and soldiers guarding him, and outside was peasants who basically had no rights. And that would be the most likely scenario, I think, that would happen in a SHTF situation. There would be warlords, kings, lords, knights. It would be back to medieval times, basically, our society. It would just be if you don't want to end up in the being a peasant, I mean, you'd have no rights at all. I don't know what choice you'd really have, but it's something to think about. I'm curious what other people think. That's the way I see it would happen. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm sure other people think differently. So, what do you think?